Tell the All-Star winner.
They thought it was all fun and games, mocking Lil Jeff and his crew over fake jewelry. But Jeff wasn't about to let that disrespect slide. He decided to show them what being a gangster really meant when he went after them in downtown Chicago. Despite the violent act, Jeff didn't immediately face any consequences. The police didn't pin the crime on him right away, but everything was caught on camera. In this breakdown, we'll go over exactly how it all happened, how Lil Jeff ended up taking the lives of Lil Rob and Monty. Towards the end of January 2024, the drill music community was shaken by a disturbing video that surfaced online. It captured a brutal moment: the murder of two teenage high school students known as Lil Rob and Monty. Their real names were Robert Boston and Monterio Williams. The two were shot and killed near their school at the Washington Wabash station on January 26, 2024. On that day, the teenagers who attended Innovations High School had left the school premises for their lunch break. Little did they know that their killers were already trailing them. As they walked near the elevators at Washington Wabash, three masked men, armed and ready, ambushed them. The shooters arrived in a blue SUV, and within seconds they fired multiple rounds at Lil Rob and Monty, striking them in the chest and hips. Witnesses reported that the attack lasted about 15 seconds. People in the area ran for cover, but the two teens had no chance to escape. They collapsed on the ground as the gunmen rushed back into their vehicle and sped away. Security cameras in the area captured their escape. Surveillance footage revealed that the getaway vehicle raced down Stevenson Expressway and DuSable Lakeshore Drive before heading towards south suburban Dalton and Calumet City. After the shooters fled, bystanders gathered around the wounded teenagers. One of the victims was completely unresponsive, while the other struggled to move and called for help. Some people stood in shock, while others screamed in distress. Eventually, first responders arrived and the victims were rushed to Northwestern Memorial Hospital. Sadly, neither of them survived due to the severity of their injuries. About a year after the tragic incident, the police finally identified the killers. To no one's surprise, one of them was believed to be Lil Jeff. If you're familiar with gang violence in the drill music scene, you know that many murders remain unsolved due to lack of evidence. However, in this case, law enforcement had enough proof to charge those responsible. The first suspect arrested was Tommy Coleman, a 22-year-old rapper known as T-Slick. He was affiliated with Bloodhound and Lil Jeff. Police caught him at the 5700 block of North Mason Avenue, and after his arrest, they gathered more details about his accomplices. Prosecutors later confirmed that the other two shooters were Lil Jeff, who had died 5 months after the attack, and a third suspect who was also a student at Innovations High School. T-Slick faced multiple charges, including 2 felony counts of first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, aggravated discharge of a firearm from a vehicle, and possession of a weapon by a felon. A few days after his arrest, police identified the third suspect, 20-year-old James Allison. Shockingly, he had been a classmate of Lil Rob and Monty at Innovations High School. Court documents revealed that Allison had attended school as usual on the day of the shooting. Before the attack, he changed clothes, likely to avoid suspicion. Investigators tracked GPS data from his phone, which showed that after leaving school, he took a CTA train to Roosevelt. This raised suspicions that Allison had provided the shooters with precise timing for their attack, knowing exactly when Lil Rob and Monty would be on their lunch break. Prosecutors further revealed that after leaving school, Allison walked to a parking garage near the crime scene where he entered the blue SUV used in the shooting. Data from the suspects' phones showed that their devices moved together before, during, and after the attack, solidifying their connection to the crime. In court, prosecutors argued that Lil Jeff, T-Slick, and Allison had a deep-rooted conflict with the victims. The beef between them was fueled by pride and ego, and neither side was willing to back down. Among gang members, disrespect was never taken lightly. If anything, it often escalated into deadly retaliation. Even after their rivals were killed, gang members would continue taunting their enemies, making sure their message was heard. Lil Jeff was no different. But what started this deadly feud? It all began when Monty and Lil Rob robbed Lil Jeff of his jewelry, his wristwatches, necklaces, and chains. To add insult to injury, the teens went online to mock Jeff, calling out his fake jewelry and claiming that his entire crew, Bloodhound, was living a lie. They even flashed a firearm in one of their videos, warning Jeff to stop wearing his fake Audemars Piguet watch. Of course, this public humiliation didn't sit well with Lil Jeff. He acknowledged that he had been robbed but wasn't about to let it slide. What followed was a deadly chain of events that ended in tragedy.
The nigga then ran. I look up, taking off down the stairs with 5 more extra. I'm like, I thought nigga was gangster. The whole time I'm right there still working with him. I'm telling him we could keep this shit gangster.
But that was far from the end. After the incident, Lil Jeff kept taunting his enemies, constantly reminding them that they were beneath him and had no real place in the gangster world. Shortly after boasting about being the boss, the shooting took place. While one might have expected this to settle the rivalry, it only fueled it further. Lil Jeff continued to taunt his enemies and fans alike, insisting he was the toughest in the game. He repeatedly bragged about taking down the teenagers in various posts and videos. One of the most memorable clips surfaced just moments after the shooting of Monty and Lil Rob. In the footage, Lil Jeff was seen wearing the exact same outfit he had during the attack: black clothing and a face mask. He proudly flaunted his associates and even claimed responsibility for the hit. This video was uploaded just 15 minutes after the shooting, filmed inside the dark-colored SUV used for the attack. But Lil Jeff wasn't done yet. He doubled down on his self-incrimination a few days later with another video. This time he was seen driving with a friend, both rapping along to the same song that had been playing in the SUV during the shooting. As the video continued, Lil Jeff made it clear that the song was all the motivation they needed to take action against their enemy.
Look, if y'all ever going through some shit, and y'all need, like, y'all want to get back, y'all need some, tell y'all, look, play this song right here 100 times, I'm bet you gonna get the job done, right?
Not long after, Lil Jeff made yet another shocking remark.
I popped out listening to this shit for, this shit right here gonna give you real motivation. Hold on, listen.
Beyond the videos, Lil Jeff also rapped about killing the 2 teenagers, adding to his supposed body count at just 21 years old. He claimed he had already taken out multiple rivals over the years. His cousin and closest ally, Q50, also joined in on the boasting. In one of his raps, Q50 said, "Blooded called, said he trying to go spin, we can spin downtown, last 2 got lift." Interestingly, after a thorough investigation, Q50 was cleared of any involvement in the deaths of Monty and Lil Rob. Many fans argued that he had only been supporting his friend through his lyrics, and the investigation confirmed this. However, when it came to Lil Jeff, the evidence suggested that everything he rapped about was based on real events, especially regarding Monty and Lil Rob. Despite his ability to predict the downfall of his enemies, Lil Jeff couldn't foresee his own fate. He lived by the gun and, in an ironic twist, died by it too. Just 5 months after orchestrating the deaths of Monty and Lil Rob, Lil Jeff was killed by a rival. The incident occurred in Chicago, Illinois, at around 5:14 p.m. Lil Jeff was chasing an enemy gang member when he was shot 19 times. The man he was after managed to escape with minor injuries. Back in June 2024, a surveillance camera recorded Lil Jeff firing at a man wearing yellow. Although the man had a gun, he chose to run while returning fire. The footage didn't clearly show where he fled to, but it was obvious that he ran between buildings trying to protect himself. As the events unfolded, Lil Jeff's opponent fired back, hitting him and causing him to collapse instantly. It was later confirmed that Lil Jeff suffered 19 bullet wounds from the attack. Even as he lay on the ground, his crew refused to back down. Surveillance footage captured his gang members firing relentlessly at their enemies. Eventually, they retreated to their car, seemingly satisfied with their efforts to push their opponents back. One of the men in the footage was later identified as Q50, Lil Jeff's cousin. However, after the shooting, Q50 left the area, only to return a few minutes later to retrieve Lil Jeff's body and rush him to a nearby hospital. By the time police arrived at the scene, they were already working to track down the shooter. Officers found blood on the front porch of the building where Lil Jeff had been standing, along with multiple shell casings on the ground. Despite this, putting all the pieces together remained a challenge. Meanwhile, discussions about the shooting erupted on Reddit, where fans tried to analyze the events after watching the footage. Some criticized Lil Jeff's crew for failing to protect him properly. One user commented, "He was the one about to bring all of y'all up, possibly feeding the whole fam, and y'all let this happen to your star. He shouldn't have even been there in the first place." Others were simply saddened by his death. Another person wrote, "The guy didn't even run back to the car or anything, he just walked off. He probably saw them shooting his homie and knew it was over." The realization must have hit all 3 of them like a truck when they got back in the car and drove off. Lil Jeff's death became one of the most talked about events in the rap community. Fans and fellow rappers flooded social media with tributes. One of his close friends and fellow rapper The Tweaker posted multiple Instagram stories featuring Lil Jeff. In one post he wrote, "I love you. I'ma be with you real soon." In another he added, "Damn brother, this shit don't feel real." As tributes poured in, a different side of Lil Jeff emerged. Fans learned that despite his tough persona, he had a softer side when it came to love. His girlfriend shared an emotional message, revealing a more vulnerable side of him. One of her posts read, "You would be so mad that I let the world know you were really a sweetheart. You did whatever for me, literally. I never understood why y'all were so scared of him. He was my BFF, my Clyde, my escape, my whole world." While Lil Jeff's friends and family mourned, his rivals celebrated his death. Soon the shooter was identified as Trap City Rob. The ongoing war between the Trap City crew and the Bloodhounds had escalated ever since the retaliatory killing of 19-year-old Jalil Gawning, who was affiliated with Trap City. Ultimately, when asked what sparked the beef between these gangs, members of Trap City pointed to a stolen chain as the initial cause.
That was my homie.
They stole the chain, bro. We tried like took it.
It's interesting that Lil Jeff went on a rant about stolen jewelry right before he killed Little Rob and Monty. This shows that one of the quickest ways to get yourself killed in a Chicago gang is by stealing a chain. After the Trap City crew managed to take out Lil Jeff, they showed no respect for his memory. Ironically, Lil Jeff was known for disrespecting his enemies after their deaths, and now the same was being done to him. Members of the Trap City crew, including Trap City Rob, appeared in a viral video celebrating Jeff's death. In the clip, they stood by the porch of the house where he was shot down and even reenacted the way he was killed. The video was meant to mock him, and the other gang members found it entertaining. As time passed, Trap City continued taunting Jeff's memory, but his shooter, Trap City Rob, stayed away from the spotlight. Instead of boasting about what he had done, he chose to keep a low profile. During an appearance on DJ UTV, Rob was pressured into discussing the murder. However, he refused to say much about it.
Nah, gang, I just feel like they bogus, man. Whoever started that, man, please stop doing stuff like that. Like, for real, it's like real life, though, you know? So, it's not no video game. It's not no movie, you know what I'm saying? It's reality.
Rob made it clear that he wasn't going to admit anything. Eventually, the police arrested Trap City Rob for Lil Jeff's murder and charged him with first-degree murder. But to everyone's surprise, he was released in less than 24 hours due to a complete lack of evidence. This wasn't shocking, considering that in the video Rob appeared to be acting in self-defense. He also didn't brag about the killing afterward, which likely worked in his favor. The only time he spoke about the incident was a few weeks later when he was asked about it. During a July 2024 interview, Rob described how he was caught in an ambush.
The video, I think that shit, I was like, there's 6 niggas out there, you know? It's crazy.
Following his explanation, fans started calling him the Defensive Player of the Year, praising how he protected himself in a life-or-death situation. Rob was attacked right in front of his grandmother's house, where he lived. Although he was cleared of Lil Jeff's murder, he ended up in trouble again, this time for illegally possessing a handgun. By the end of last year, he was transferred to Cook County Jail, where he's being held until his trial. Fans have been divided over his arrest. Some believe he shouldn't have been charged, while others argue that if he had a legal firearm, he wouldn't be in this situation. One fan commented, "This is why you're supposed to own a gun legally. Go buy it from a gun store and get a license first, then you won't have to worry about jail time." Another person chimed in saying, "Lamau, so the Jeff situation proves that having a gun is necessary for survival. But either way, it doesn't matter. The options are to die or save yourself and sit in prison for years. WTF." A second fan agreed, saying, "Same here. I don't think dude should be charged. He defended himself and that's all that matters. He wasn't hurting anyone. That DA is just power hungry." Regardless of whether Trap City Rob is held accountable or not, one thing is certain. Chicago gangs will stop at nothing to show their anger. And more often than not, that means spilling blood. Let's dive into how all of this beef started in the first place.
That was my homie.
They stole the chain, bro. We tried like took it.
Chicago is known for its stunning architecture, delicious food, sports, museums, and attractions. But on the flip side, there's a darker reality: the street gang violence that has plagued the city for years. In recent times, the rise of drill rap has fueled even more gang wars, turning Chicago into a battlefield. One of the deadliest rivalries in recent years has been between two of the city's most feared gangs, Drill City and Trap City. Drill City, also called the Bloodhounds, is a predominantly black teenage gang operating between 79th Street and Maryland Avenue. They are infamous for violent robberies and shootings, often bragging about their crimes in rap songs or diss tracks aimed at their enemies. They have very few allies and have a long-standing feud with BK and Trap City. Trap City, on the other hand, is made up mostly of gangster disciples and controls the area between 67th and Champlain. Their exact territory stretches from 67th to 69th Street and from Lawrence to Cottage Grove. Not much is known about their origins, but they have a strong alliance with CWB, which has helped them dominate their area. Interestingly, Drill City and Trap City were once allies. Several old pictures prove they were once on good terms. One recently surfaced on Reddit showing Bloodhound Lil Jeff, Trap City Taro, and Bloodhound Q50 hanging out together. Even Lil Jeff's older brother J Boogie was known to be affiliated with Trap City and had close ties to Bloodhound members like Jeff, Q50, and Bloodhound Ver. But things took a drastic turn over something seemingly petty. According to the story, Lil Jeff stole a Trap City member's chain. In retaliation, Trap City killed his cousin, 22-year-old Zer Nelson, also known as Z Money. While it might seem extreme to kill someone over a stolen chain, Trap City Rob and Trap City Taro confirmed during a July 2024 interview that this was exactly what happened. Rob explained that they were once cool with the Bloodhounds until Lil Jeff ran off with the chain. Either the chain was incredibly valuable or Trap City was looking for an excuse to go after their former allies. Regardless, they took it to the extreme. On March 16, 2023, Zer Nelson was gunned down. Allegedly, as revenge for the stolen chain. Nelson wasn't just Lil Jeff's cousin. He was also close with several Bloodhound members, so his murder felt like a direct attack on the entire group. At the time, Lil Jeff was already making a name for himself in the streets. Nelson's death pushed him over the edge, turning him into a ruthless killer bent on revenge. Trap City escalated things even further by attacking the Bloodhounds again, this time leaving Lil Jeff's cousin and right-hand man Q50 wounded. Fortunately for Q50, he survived. Following the attack, Lil Jeff and Q50 went on Instagram Live to talk about what happened. In the video, they were riding in a car, hyped up and seemingly bragging about their retaliation. Q50 rapped, "_shot me in my leg, the next month I shot his throat." Lil Jeff followed up with, "They shot my cousin but ain't kill him. For some weeks straight we was spinning, but the only difference is when she got caught, we killed him." Who were basically admitting to being involved in a notorious shooting that took place on June 25, 2024. The victim, 19-year-old Jalal Goss, aka Lay, was shot multiple times while sitting in a rideshare car. The driver rushed him to Rush University Medical Center, but he didn't survive. Police were still trying to piece together what happened when Lil Jeff went on Instagram Live again, seemingly taking credit for the murder. He said, "Go ask my ops that Michael Drake, his ass ain't get out that car. You know that I was right there," while flashing a gun at the camera. Jeff didn't stop there. In another Instagram Live, he even reenacted the shooting at a gas station, pretending to shoot into a car window. Everyone familiar with the Chicago drill scene knew exactly who he was mocking. Trap City wasn't done either. After losing Goss, they tried to take out Lil Jeff and Q50 again. This time their target was Trap City Glenn. According to Jeff and Q50, they shot him 15 times, but he miraculously survived. That didn't stop Jeff though. About 6 months later, he went deep into Trap City's territory to finish the job. However, in his desperation to kill Glenn, Jeff let his guard down, and that mistake cost him his life.